Seoul never sleeps, but that night, Seoul watched me. I didn't know it then, but one small choice, one piece of kimbap, was going to erase my old life like chalk and rain. Because the beggar I fed wasn't a beggar. He was a man people bowed to, a man enemies hunted, a man who would soon look me in the eyes and say, "Now they know your face, and that makes you mine to protect." My name is Aisha, and I didn't just save a stranger. I fed a dragon. I worked nights in a hotel kitchen. Not glamorous, just heat, steel, and exhaustion. 3 years ago, I came from Nigeria with a work visa and a dream. Now, my dream had become smaller, shrunken down to rent, food, and pretending I wasn't lonely. Every night after my shift, I walked home with coins in my pocket and silence in my chest. Neon signs flickered like tired stars. Street vendors packed up, and people like me moved fast, head down, trying not to be noticed. Because in Seoul, being noticed can be expensive. That night, the air smelled like rain and fried chicken. Then I saw him. He sat near the restaurant wall like he'd been dropped there. Torn clothes, dirty hair hiding his face, a posture that said, "Don't look at me." But when I passed, he lifted his head, and I froze. Because his eyes weren't empty, they were sharp, controlled, the kind of eyes that didn't beg, the kind of eyes that measured. My mother's voice entered my head like a warning. Feed the hungry, even when you are hungry too. I sighed, pulled out my last kimbap, and knelt. "Here," I said quietly. He stared at it like it was a trick. Then he took it, not with desperation, with caution. "Thank you," he said in English. His voice was low, careful, like he had learned how to hide power. I nodded, stood, and turned to leave, and that's when the door slammed open. A man in a suit stormed out, face red, voice loud. He pointed at the beggar and shouted in Korean, "Get out! You're bad for business!" The beggar didn't move. He didn't argue. He just watched. The manager kicked his leg. "Did you hear me?" Something snapped inside me. Maybe it was the long shift. Maybe it was 3 years of being invisible. Maybe it was the memory of my mother's hands, always helping even when we had nothing. I stepped between them. "Stop," I said in Korean. The manager blinked, surprised a foreign girl had a spine. "This is not your business," he hissed. "He's a person," I replied. "Treat him like one." The manager's mouth curled. He raised his hand like he might hit me. And in that exact moment, the beggar stood. He was taller than I thought, broad shoulders, quiet strength. And when he straightened, the entire mood shifted, like the street itself realized it had been disrespectful. He spoke in Korean, slow and cold. "Touch her, and you will regret it." The manager froze, because it wasn't a threat. It was a promise, spoken by someone used to being obeyed. The manager swallowed, muttered, and backed away. He didn't just walk inside, he escaped. Rain began to fall softly, like Seoul was holding its breath. I turned to the man. "Are you okay?" I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "You should not have done that." "Why?" I asked. His gaze didn't move. "Because now they will remember your face." My stomach tightened. Who is they? He didn't answer, because that's when the black car pulled up. A black sedan slid to the curb like it owned the road. A black sedan slid to the curb like it owned the road. 2 men in dark suits stepped out, and when they saw the beggar, they bowed, deep, respectfully, precise, and not to a homeless man, to a leader. My blood turned cold. One of them opened the car door. The man, no, the boss, looked at me one last time. "Thank you for the food," he said softly. Then, almost like an afterthought, "I won't forget your face." And the car drove off, leaving me alone in the rain with the sick realization that I had just become visible to the wrong world. I should have gone straight home. Instead, I stood there, staring at the wet road like it could explain what I'd just seen. Who bows to a beggar? The rain got heavier. I started walking, but everything felt wrong. Every parked car looked occupied. Every shadow felt like a person. A motorcycle passed too close, and I flinched so hard my heart hurt. His words replayed again. "Now they will remember your face." That wasn't romance. That was a warning. When I finally reached my building, I saw it. A black sedan across the street, engine off, windows tinted, waiting. I climbed the stairs without running because running admits fear. Inside my tiny apartment, I locked the door and pressed my back to it. Then I peeked through the curtain. The car was still there, and I realized something worse. They weren't stalking me, they were guarding me, and I didn't know which was more terrifying. The next morning, heavy knocking snapped me awake. A woman in a black suit stood outside with a bag. "Miss Aisha?" she asked in English. I nodded, throat tight. She handed me the bag and bowed. A gift. Then she left like she'd done this 1,000 times. Inside, a box of expensive fruit, a thick envelope, and a simple card with one sentence. "Thank you for your kindness. By K.S." I opened the envelope. Cash. More than I earned in 2 months. My hands shook. This wasn't a thank you. This was a message. I can reach you anytime. At work later, my manager pulled me aside, pale, stiff. "Aisha," he said, "someone paid your rent for 6 months." My brain blanked. What? "A company called Sato Security," he added, swallowing. "They said you are under their protection." The word protection landed like a chain around my ankle. A new number rang. I almost didn't answer. "Hello? Miss Aisha." That calm, deep voice, the beggar. Except now, he sounded like a man who never panicked. "We need to talk." "Who are you?" I demanded. A soft pause. "My name is Kenji Sato, and you saved my life last night. I gave you food. In my world, that is saving a life." I swallowed. "I don't want your money. I don't want trouble." His voice dropped lower. "It is too late," he said gently. "Trouble already knows your name." Then quieter, "And I don't like sharing what I protect." The line went dead. That night, the black car came. The driver opened the door without speaking, and I understood something terrifying. I wasn't being invited, I was being moved. The elevator climbed higher than any place I had ever belonged. When the doors opened, I stepped into a penthouse that didn't feel real. Floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul glittering below, furniture like art, silence like money. I woke to sunlight. Not the harsh light of the hotel kitchen. This was gold, pouring through glass that seemed to reach the sky. For 3 seconds, I didn't know who I was. My body felt heavy, sinking into a mattress that felt like a cloud. The sheets were silk. I had never touched silk in my life. Then, memory returned, like a slap in the face. The rain, the beggar, the black car. I sat up, heart hammering. I looked around the room. It was bigger than my entire apartment. Walls the color of cream. And silence. A silence so deep, so expansive, it felt heavy. I walked to the window. My breath hitched. Seoul was miles below me. Cars were toys. People were invisible. I was in the sky. "Where am I?" I whispered. I turned to the closet door. Inside were clothes, rows of them, soft sweaters, expensive trousers. I checked a tag. It was my size, my exact size. I checked the shoes, my size. A cold shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't hospitality. This was precision. Luxury says you are a guest. Precision says you were planned. I ran to the bedroom door, locked. Panic rose in my throat. "Hello?" I shouted. "Let me out!" Silence. Then, a soft click. The door opened. An older woman stood there, small, sharp eyes, crisp uniform, holding a tray of food. "Good morning, Aisha-san," she said. Her English was careful. "Who are you?" I asked. "I am Mrs. Sato, housekeeper and keeper of secrets." She set the tray down. Miso soup, grilled fish. My stomach growled. "Eat," she said gently. "Where is he?" I demanded. "The master is working." "The master?" She nodded. "He said you would be hungry." "I want to leave." Mrs. Sato looked at me. Her eyes were sad. "No one leaves the penthouse, Aisha-san," she said softly. "Not unless the dragon allows it." "The dragon?" She tapped her neck. "The tattoo," she whispered. "It means he owns the sky." She left. The lock clicked again. I sat down and ate. Every bite tasted like defeat. An hour later, the door opened again. No knock. The air in the room changed. It became heavier, charged. He filled the doorway. The beggar was gone, absolutely gone. In his place was a man carved out of stone and power. Black suit, tailored to fit broad shoulders, hair swept back from a face that was devastatingly handsome and terrifyingly cold. He stepped inside. He didn't look at the room. He looked at me. "You didn't like the clothes," he said finally. His voice, God, his voice, deep, resonant. "I don't know them. They aren't mine," I said. "I want to go home, Kenji." He walked into the room, predatory grace. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough to smell him, sandalwood and steel. "You don't have a home anymore, Aisha," he said quietly. My stomach dropped. "What did you do?" "I did nothing, but Riku, my cousin, he knows you exist." He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small black box. "Here." I didn't take it. "What is it?" "A phone." "I have a phone." "Your phone is a beacon. This one is encrypted." "I don't want your gifts." Kenji took a step closer. The heat coming off him was intense. "It is not a gift, Aisha," he said, voice dropping. "It is a leash." I blinked. "What?" "I need to know where you are every second." "That's stalking." "That is protection," he corrected. He reached out and took my hand. His fingers were warm, rough, calloused. He pressed the box into my palm. He didn't let go. His thumb brushed over my knuckles. A touch so gentle, it felt like a scream. I looked up at him. He was staring at my mouth. "Why me?" I whispered. "Why did you bring me here?" Kenji's gaze drifted to my eyes. "Because you saw me," he murmured. "I saw a beggar." "No," he said. "Everyone else saw a beggar. You saw a man." He leaned in, his lips inches from my ear. "And now I cannot look away from you." He released my hand abruptly. "Dinner is at 7, he said coldly. "Dress appropriately." He walked out. The door clicked shut. I sat there clutching the black box, my heart racing. I was safe, but I was in danger because I wanted him to touch my hand again. 6 o'clock arrived like a sentence. Mrs. Sato returned with a garment bag. "The master selected this," she said. She unzipped it. The fabric stilled out like liquid night. Red silk, the color of a heart that had just stopped beating. Red, For luck? I whispered. Mrs. Sato shook her head. For warning. I put it on. It fit like a second skin. The back was completely open, exposing my spine, my vulnerability. I walked out of the room. My heels clicked on the marble floor. Click, click, click. Kenji was standing by the fireplace, pouring a drink. He heard me. He turned, and for a moment, the dragon looked stunned. His eyes traveled up the red silk, lingered on my neck, locked onto my eyes. The air grew hot. He set the glass down hard. Come here, he commanded. I walked down the stairs. Is this appropriate? I asked. Kenji reached out. His fingers grazed my bare shoulder. Electric. Red, he murmured. Knew it. Knew what? That you would wear it like a weapon. He stepped back, mask returning. Let's go. The car is waiting. Inside the car, the city blurred past. Where are we going? I asked. To be seen, Kenji replied. I thought you wanted to hide me. Hiding implies guilt, Aisha. You are not a secret. You are a statement. We arrived at a building in Gangnam. Valets rushed to the car. Kenji offered me his hand. I took it. We walked in. The restaurant was dim, jazz music. Conversation stopped, heads turned. I felt the eyes of strangers crawling over me. Who is she? Is she with him? I gripped Kenji's hand tighter. He squeezed back. A silent message. I have you. We sat in a corner booth. Tell me, I said, why did you become this? I gestured to the suit, the fear in the waiter's eyes. Kenji swirled his wine. I didn't become this, he said. I was born into it. When my father died, I had two choices, take the throne or be crushed by it. I chose to rule. The food arrived, but I couldn't taste it, because I saw something over Kenji's shoulder. Two men had entered, gray suits, cheap cuts. They saw us. My fork clattered. Kenji didn't turn around. Keep eating, he said softly. Kenji, there are... I know. Don't look at them. Look at me. The men walked over. The room went deadly quiet. Kenji-san, one said mockingly. Mr. Riku sends his regards. Kenji cut his steak. Return them, unopened. The man stepped closer. He looked at me. His eyes raked over my red dress. Pretty, the man sneered. Does she know she's sitting next to a corpse? My blood froze. Kenji stopped chewing. He placed his knife down, slowly. He stood up. He didn't yell, he just expanded. He towered over the man. You looked at her, Kenji said softly. I don't like it when trash looks at my art. The man stepped back. We are just delivering a message. Message delivered, Kenji said. His voice dropped to a whisper. Now run, before I forget that there are ladies present. The threat hung in the air. The men turned and walked out fast. Kenji sat back down. Eat your wagyu, Aisha, he said calmly. It's getting cold. I stared at him. How can you do that? I whispered. Switch off the monster? Kenji looked at me. I didn't switch it off, he said. I just put it on a leash. He took my hand. Because you are sitting here. Let's go, he said abruptly. It's not safe here anymore. He placed his hand on my lower back as we left. Protective, possessive, a silent warning. She is mine. The car ride back was silent, electric. We stepped into the private elevator. The doors slid shut. Kenji loosened his tie. I apologize, he said. Dinner was ruined. You protected me, I said softly. That doesn't ruin dinner, that saves it. He turned to me. The elevator stopped, but he didn't open the doors. He just stared at me. He took a step closer. He reached out and tucked a braid behind my ear. His thumb brushed my pulse point. Fast, he murmured. Kenji, I breathed. He leaned in, his eyes dropped to my lips. The dragon looked hungry. I should not have brought you here, he whispered. You are too light for my dark. Maybe your dark needs light, I replied. I wanted him to kiss me. I leaned forward. Ding! The elevator doors opened. The spell broke. Kenji pulled back sharply. Go to your room, he said coldly. Lock the door. He walked out fast, leaving me standing there, aching for a man who was terrified to touch me. I went to my room, took off the red dress, put on a silk robe, but I couldn't sleep. Midnight passed. I needed water. I opened my door. The penthouse was dark. I walked quietly toward the kitchen. I passed the service corridor. I heard voices, low, hushed. 2 of Kenji's guards were standing by the back elevator. Money is in the account? One asked. Half now, the other replied. My blood turned to ice. Riku pays double, the first laughed. Tonight, the dragon falls. I gasped. They weren't guards, they were executioners. I backed away. I ran. I sprinted down the hall to Kenji's office. I burst in without knocking. Kenji jumped up, hand going for his gun. Aisha? Don't speak, I gasped. Lock the door. We have to leave, now. Calm down. What happened? The guards, by the service elevator, their work for Riku. Kenji goes perfectly still. Are you sure? I heard them. They said, tonight the dragon falls. Kenji stared at me. He saw only truth. Stay here, he said. He picked up his gun, checked the chamber. Click, clack. Kenji! I grabbed his arm. They're armed! He looked at me. So am I. He slipped out. I locked the door, and I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Silence. Knock, knock. Aisha? His voice came. Open it. I threw it open. Kenji stood there, not bleeding, but his eyes were black holes. Are they gone? He said simply. He walked in and poured a drink. His hand shook just once. You were right, he said. They were letting a team in at 3 a.m. He turned to me. If you hadn't walked down that hall, I would be dead. I sank onto the sofa. Kenji walked over and knelt. On his knees. You saved me, he said softly. Again. I just heard them. No, he said. You chose to tell me. You could have stayed silent and been free. I looked at him. I don't want to be free if it means you're dead. Kenji rested his forehead against my knees, a gesture of total submission. You are part of me now, Aisha. What happens now? I asked. He stood up. The fire was back in his eyes. Now Riku learns what happens when he touches what is mine. The next morning, the penthouse was a war room. Kenji was moving fast, cutting ties, closing gates. I sat by the window. I wanted to call my mother. I dialed her number in Lagos. Ring, ring? No answer. My stomach tightened. She always answered. I dialed again. The number you are calling is not available. No, I whispered. Kenji looked at me instantly. Aisha? She's not answering. My mother. My phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. I opened it. A photo loaded. My knees gave way. Kenji caught me. It was my mother's house. Door kicked open, living room tossed, her favorite scarf trampled on the floor. The text read, You have until midnight. Leave the dragon, or we send her to you in pieces. I screamed. They have her! Kenji, they have her! I have to go. I have to save her. Kenji tightened his grip. Aisha, look at me. His voice cracked like a whip. Give me the phone. He looked at the photo. Then he exhaled. It's a lie, he said. I blinked. What? Your mother isn't in that house. How can you know that? Because I moved her, Kenji said quietly, 3 days ago. I stared at him.
You what? I sent a team to Lagos. I moved her to a secure hotel in Abuja. She is currently enjoying room service. My mouth fell open. You kidnapped my mother? I protected her, he corrected. Riku's men got there late, Kenji said. They tossed the empty house to scare you. I sank onto the sofa. Relief washed over me. She's safe? Safer than the president, Kenji vowed. I looked at him. He had thought of everything. You didn't tell me. I couldn't risk it, he said. Fear makes people honest. Riku needed to believe you were vulnerable. You manipulated me. I kept you alive. He walked to the window. But this, he murmured, this was Riku's mistake. He turned back, eyes burning with cold fire. He threatened family. He crossed the final line. Kenji picked up a burner phone. He dialed. Riku, I got your message. No, she isn't coming. You are done playing games, cousin. Meet me tomorrow at dawn. Just you, just me. We end it. He hung up and crushed the phone. He turned to me. It's over. I walked over to him, placed my hand on his chest. He will try to kill you, I whispered. Kenji covered my hand. He will try, he agreed, but he's forgotten one thing. What? He's fighting for power. I'm fighting for you. Kenji didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. Seoul glittered below the penthouse, like nothing was wrong, like my world hadn't already burned. Just before dawn, Kenji stood by the window, suit jacket already on, dragon tattoo visible, like he wasn't hiding anymore. Today, he said quietly, Riku stops reaching for you. I turned to him. How? Kenji looked at me then, not as a boss, not as a dragon, but as a man standing at the edge of something he couldn't undo. The Mafia way, he said. No witnesses who matter, no second chances. My heart raced. And me? Kenji crossed the room, stopped in front of me. This time, he said low, you are not bait, you are the reason. I swallowed. That doesn't sound comforting. His mouth curved slightly. It wasn't meant to. The meeting took place outside the city, private estate, neutral ground, at least on paper. Riku arrived smiling, confident, dressed like a man who thought he'd already won. You kept her? Riku said lightly. I thought you'd be smarter. Kenji didn't sit. He snapped his fingers once. The doors closed. Riku's smile faltered. Men stepped out of the shadows. Riku's men, or at least the men he thought were his. You lost your money 3 nights ago, Kenji said calmly. Your weapons yesterday. Your loyalty this morning. Riku laughed once. Too loud, too sharp. You're bluffing. Kenji nodded. A folder hit the table. Bank accounts, property deeds, names crossed out. Every protection Riku thought he had, gone. In our world, Kenji said quietly, death is mercy. Riku's breathing changed. I'm not killing you, Kenji continued. I'm erasing you. You do all this for a woman? Riku spat. Yes, Kenji replied. She's your weakness. Kenji's hand settled at my back. She's the reason I win. Riku was dragged away, not bleeding, not screaming, stripped of everything. In our world, that was worse than death. Back at the penthouse, the air felt different, quieter, lighter. I should let you go, Kenji said, but I can't. You changed me, he said. I tried to pretend you were just something to protect. I was lying. I don't sleep without knowing you're safe. I don't breathe the same when you're not near. I don't want a world where you're not in it. He knelt, not in weakness, in choice. If you leave, he said, I won't stop you. But if you stay, I will spend my life proving you were never a mistake. And if I choose you, I whispered. Then, Kenji said softly, you rule beside me. Later, he stood before his men. "This woman," Kenji said calmly, "is not a weakness. She is my future." No one challenged him because the dragon had spoken. That night, he held me like he was the only thing anchoring him. "I fed a beggar," I whispered. "And I found my way back to being human," he replied. "You can't live without me now," I teased softly. "No," Kenji said honestly, "and I'm done pretending I want to." Seoul never sleeps, but that night, the dragon chose love, and the girl who fed him, she stayed.